Welcome back to the channel, people. In today's video we find out what went wrong with my DRZ400. So for those of you who don't know, we were doing a ride from the bottom of mainland Australia to the top. We completed that ride, 8,200 Ks or something. We got to the top, all good. Riding back from the top back into Cairns, where I was going to put my bike on a truck outside Cohen, so about 500 Ks from the top. She stopped. She locked up on the dirt road, completely seized, solid. It's a DRZ400. What can possibly go wrong? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to give this thing a good clean first and get it up on the hoist and take it apart. Follow on. Time to get this bike cleaned up and get all this Cape York red dust off. No one likes working on a dirty bike, right? I can't see any signs of oil leaks or water leaks. They would definitely show up with all this dust. The air filter looks pretty clean inside and out. Nothing got past this thing. The seat and tank come off nice and easy for the first part of what's going to be probably a massive strip down. Good cleanup, and let's get it up on the ramp. Alright, now that she's relatively clean, we're going to get into having a look at this thing. I think first of all, you take the carby off, because with the carby off, I can see straight away if that slide plate has snapped off and gone into the engine. So let's do that first. Should be a quick job. Let's get into it. Now, I know the carby can be taken off without lifting the subframe up, but it's a massive pain. The whole thing is coming apart, so there's no point struggling with this one, especially when you're in the shed. Make the effort and undo and lift up the subframe, and you get nice and easy access, as you can see here. After you disconnect all the cables and hoses, the carby pretty much falls out. Alright, so the carby's out, as you can see. I haven't looked in there yet. So let's have a look. Let's do a reaction video to see if this thing is broken inside. So let me show you guys the plate. Hopefully you can see that in there. See that slide plate? Yeah. That's the bit that breaks. So that's actually fixed on top of the slide. It's like loose, like a vacuum plate they call it. Oh, just squirted the camera. So I can see there when I rotate it up, it looks fully intact. Let's take the slide out. See what it looks like. The mic battery went dead on me here, but this is the notorious carby vacuum slide plate. The corners do break off this and get sucked into the engine. Some people are lucky enough and it goes straight through, some not so lucky and the bike goes boom. Like I said, this was new before the ride, so I wasn't expecting it to be the cause, and well, it wasn't. This one is still perfect, and let's carry on with the investigation, Columbo.
Oh, one thing I almost forgot.
Yes.
Next, I take off the exhaust and get the camera down there into the head and have a look at the valves. They all look pretty good with both the intakes open and the exhausts are closed. Nothing looks out of place here. So now that I know that the valves are probably good, didn't ingest the carby plate, done a bit of research last night, and I reckon the oil pump gear has failed. So inside the other side of the engine, there's a plastic idler gear that runs the oil pump. I wouldn't say they're notorious for failing, but I've definitely read of a few failures where it strips the teeth off. But we'll see. So we'll drain the oil now. I take the valve cover off, check that, check the oil filter, check the screens, see any metal in there, and then eventually take the side cover off, the clutch and everything, to have a look at this gear. All right, let's get stripping. All right, just took the sun plug out, magnetic sun plug, and this is what we got. That is not good, sports fans. There's a lot of metal on there. No, I shouldn't have expected anything less, I guess. So it looks like it's got the right amount of oil in, as expected, because you know, it wasn't leaking any, it wasn't burning any, wasn't coming out of anywhere. So that looks like it's about 2 litres. Yeah, let's have a look at the oil filter. Actually, first of all, we'll have a look at this oil screen. There's a short oil pipe that connects the frame oil tank to the engine. Get that out of the way and then you can access the frame oil screen. Couple of chunks on there, but nothing much. But there is a bit. Let's have a look at this oil filter. I'm not looking forward to this one. As you can see, that is terrible. There is lots and lots of shavings in there. Very, very bad. Well, there we are, people. As you would have seen, it probably doesn't get much worse than that, really, when you inspect the oil circuit. What can I hope for now? Well, maybe that's all top end shavings and it'll just be a head. I guess the best possible scenario now would be that the bottom end is okay, but with that much shavings in there, I doubt it. Alright, let's have a look at this top end. Time to take the valve cover off to access the cams. Just a few pipes to disconnect and the 3 bolts to remove it. Don't forget to drain the water like I did before you take the pipes off. Then you can undo the cam chain tensioner and see how much adjustment you have left. This one had 3 clicks left on there, which is exactly the same as before I left for this ride, so the cam chain is good. Once the tensioner is out of the way, the chain is loose, so you can take off the cam caps and then pull them out for a look. Looking at the cams here, the inlet first, everything looks perfect, no wear on the bearings or the lobes, and the same with the exhaust cam. Nothing wrong so far. Now the top end looks pretty clean. That swarf has got to come from somewhere. Let's take the head off and take the barrel off and let's see what damage is in there. I mean, all the top ends apart, as you can see, and still locked up, so the piston is seized inside the barrel, which is weird because if it was a starvation of oil, you think the cams would go first. Well, I know the cams go first because I've had this before, not on this bike, on a friend's bike. So now I'm thinking water pump impeller failure, overheated. That's what I think now. Which could be good news. Let's have a look. Now that we saw that the cams and the journals are okay, we can undo the 4 very tight head bolts and off comes the head. Yep, I can't see nothing much wrong with that. There's only 2 bolts on the right hand side to remove the cylinder now. Drop the cam chain through and lift it off. Now the piston wasn't stuck in the cylinder as I thought, so I lifted it off and it looked like it hasn't seized from overheating and hasn't jammed up with expansion, so that theory is out the window. The cylinder looks good from a first look, no big scoring or wearing. We'll measure it all up properly later on, but the first impressions are good. But then we found the issue, and it wasn't good. I mean, when you're in this deep, it was never going to be good, to be fair. Alright, that's interesting. So the piston is moving one way, but not the other. The big end bearing is seized. Little end bearing is good. Big end bearing is seized. Something's failed in there, the bearings are gone. There we are. Now, that's what's happened. Why is it seized? Is the oil pump failed, or we'll take this piston out and then we start taking the side covers off to see if the oil pump has failed. More stripping. Ah well, we'll continue to disassemble this thing. The piston pin was super hard to get out. Sometimes they are a little stuck, but this one was on tough. It'll be getting replaced anyway if we rebuild this thing, so we don't have to worry about damaging it. There was a little bit of scoring on the piston. I've seen worse, that's for sure. As for the conrod, well, it ain't moving. The big end bearing is definitely seized. Oh well folks, there we have it. The results are in. Big end failure on the old DRZ. Just done a bit of research and it looks like it's probably not down to the oil pump. gear breaking, so I'm not going to take that apart over there yet. I will decide what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to rebuild this one or buy another one, swap the parts over. I don't know yet, but there it is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.
Apart, undone, dismantle, dissect, disassemble.
I couldn't just leave it there. I had to see what this bearing looked like, so let's check it out. Starting on the right hand side of the engine, kickstarter and the rear brake off, then make up the template for the screw so we know how this thing goes back together. Outer and then inner clutch cases removed so we can start the work on the inside. Everything looks good so far. The clutch comes out and we can see the infamous plastic oil gear is all intact, so there's no issues there. The oil system is probably working fine. Onto the left hand side of the engine now. First the sprocket and then the stator cover comes off. Out comes the puller to get the flywheel off with a lovely crack. Oh, there she blows. Jeez, that was under some tension there. Whew. So that's pretty much all I wanted to do before I take the engine out. So let's get rid of all these pipes and other stuff that's going to get in the way, and lift the engine out, chuck it on the bench, and then we'll start splitting it up. Just starting to undo the engine mounts and a few more gears on the right hand side, as it's easier to do while the engine is in the frame, especially for the primary nut. And I come across the first sign of problems inside this engine. Alright, so now we can see the first sign of something going wrong inside the engine. You can see the really dirty. It's more than dirty, it's like corroded oil. It looks like water has got in there maybe, but when I drained the oil it was really good, so I didn't see any water in there. But you can see underneath there, that's on the main bearing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we take this out. Don't know what that is. It's not good though. Looks like maybe some kind of corrosion around the main bearings. We'll need to see inside for a closer look. Onto the swinging arm now and all the other engine mounts, and this little motor is ready to come out. Alright, the engine's out. As you can see, that's pretty obvious. And as I've showed you before, that big end is solid. Yeah, it's supposed to be a little more freer than that. So let's get set up, split this thing, and take all the components out of this side first. Take some stuff out of the other side, and get the crank splitter on there, case splitter. And let's see how bad this thing is. We know the crank's gone, but hopefully it hasn't taken anything else out. Let's go. Still battling away on the right hand side of the engine. Lots of little gears and components to come out. The kickstarter, oil pump and all the bearing retainers. The old impact driver comes in handy here as they're all Loctited in. This is the biggest issue I was afraid of, was how bad the metallic, it's a cross between metal and metallic, medical, it's a new word. The particles that damaged the oil pump. And obviously the oil pump is probably destroyed, which you can see there. That's fine, I can get a new one of them, but the casings, I'd rather not change the case. I mean, it needs a new engine pretty much. Doesn't feel too bad to me, but I'm gonna have to get a second opinion on that, I think, because I can't feel them with my fingernails. I'll do some research on that, but we're gonna continue stripping it down anyway. But yeah, I didn't want to see that there. And that's the outer bit. Alright, let's crack on. More bits to remove now, including the gear selector mechanism, which I must say is pretty complicated on these DRZs. Well, compared to the KTMs I've taken apart in the past anyway. Then undo all the case bolts and set up the case splitter and get this thing apart. I'm just wondering at this point, will this thing ever go back together? Alright, let's have a look. First impressions of this split crank, well, casings. See there, remainder of the big end bearing on the inside of that one. And there, it's even worse. Lots of metal, didn't expect anything less. Oh, the screen looks pretty clean though. Well, seeing as the main bearing has stayed on the crank, then I'm thinking it's going to be loose, so yeah. It's really loose. There you go. So that looks really bad there where the main bearing sits. That looks bad there, the inner race of the main bearing. Maybe that stuff blocked up the oil passage for the crank. Don't know. I haven't taken enough of these apart to know. But we will by the end of this rebuild. I'll tell you that for free. Now to take out all the inside of the right hand case off. The gear shafts, the selectors, the forks. All of these will need to be inspected later on, but they look pretty good. A few bearings are notchy, but no major issues. These will all get replaced anyway if we rebuild this thing. Oh well, that's down to that level. So now we've got to split this cranking off and have a look at this big end bearing. Not that we're going to save it, it's going to be a new crank anyway, but be interested if we see any blocked oil passages or whatever, but might not be able to see anything, but it's just worth doing. Let's split this crank apart. Alright, morning people, it's a new day. Well, new day for me, not for you. It's been just a few seconds, but so I've had a sleep on it, I've had a think, and yeah, I didn't come to any conclusions. I don't know why I said that, but anyway, we've got to get this main bearing off. Just looking at this rust, check out that rust on the surface of the crank. Not good. There's nowhere else it can come from there, I don't think. I'll just clean this off, see what it looks like when it's cleaned. Yeah, definitely corrosion was happening there. So that's obviously only get caused by one thing, and that's water. Obviously we were in Cape York, so we went through a lot of water crossings, but you know, we were doing 400 k's a day, so you'd think any water that gets in, it would be enough to burn off inside the oil and that. And when I dropped the oil, it was clean as. There was not a sign of milk in there or water or anything. So, and it definitely happened in the second part of the ride, so because I serviced my bike halfway through, so it happened in the last 5,000 k's of that ride. So we'll split this crank. I'm gonna make a plate and stuff to go in there. I got some plate, but it might not be thick enough, we'll see. We split the crank. Gotta get this main bearing off. I mean, it's all gonna get changed anyway. The crank's, you know, dead. Can't move this big end. So the crank's getting replaced, main bearing's getting replaced. Doesn't matter if I destroy this, because there's a new one going in. Alright, let's destroy this thing. I need to get this main bearing off the crank before I separate it, so I use some specialist tooling, namely a blowtorch and a tie lever. Do not try this at home, people. I am a trained YouTube professional. Time to make up a plate and press this thing off. Now I had to make up a press plate with what I had laying around in the shed to get this crank off, but as you can see, the 6mm plate bent like a banana under the press. These things are pressed on super tight. As you can see, that one didn't work. Bent like a bloody banana. That was only 6mm plate. I didn't think it'd last, so I went and got another one. This one, 12mm plate. I didn't video the thing, but I made it a bit better than the last one. And I got another 12mm plate there, just in case this doesn't work. I'm gonna weld that on top of it. And if that doesn't work, then, well, we're going home. Let's give this Mark II setup a try with some 12mm plate this time, and let's see if the press can do it. Listen for the crack. Woo! Here we go, that's the big end bearing. You know what, I'm not a qualified mechanic, but I don't think it should look like this. Last job, so we can have a good look at the crank pin, is pressing off the other web. That one was even harder. 15 tons of pressure on the press gauge. I had my eyes shut for this one, that's for sure. Alright, that took a lot of force. About 15 ton, I think. So that's what's left. The main bit of the big end bearing. That's where all them bits of metal are. There's the big end bearing pin. Obviously that's going to be pretty mangled because the bearing collapsed on there, but I'll just check these oil passages are clear. We'll go from there. Yeah, the big end bearing surface has got heaps of pitting corrosion by the look of it. I'll take it into work, see what the boys think, but doesn't look too good. But it could have been just corrosion on the big end bearing, and then it's failed. Catastrophic failure. Just checking the oil passages of the pin. So oil is getting through to the pin, therefore must have been oil in the big end bearing. Water's got in there somehow from the river crossings, I guess. Kind of hard to believe how we do so, and then river crossings, and we're doing like 400 k's a day. You think that'd be enough to burn off. It wasn't sitting for any period of time. I mean, it does sit in between rides, like for 1 year. So maybe that was the start of it. It didn't come about until I went on the big ride. But this happened on the second half. They changed the oil during the middle of the ride after like 4,000 k's. So there was no metal in the oil at that point. Actually, you know what? I didn't change the oil filter then, but there was no metal on the magnetic sump plug. I can't say for the oil filter. So doesn't look too bad. I just got to check the housing of the oil pump to make sure that's not beyond repair. Hopefully it'll just buff out, and then we'll just have a complete bottom end rebuild kit and top end probably. Give it a fresh life and go from there. But yeah, there you go. Big end bearing epic deconstruction failure. Rapid deconstruction event. DRZ's not that indestructible after all. But 30,000 awesome Ks on this thing. You can see she's in pieces, but we will rebuild. See ya.